Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another book review. Let me just get set up here. Okay, so what if your only home was a faded elephant curtain, your birth unregistered, your future undocumented, and the city determined not to see you? Today we are looking at Kim Jae-young's short story Elephant, a razor sharp portrait of migrant life on Seoul's edges. It's bleak, it's tender, and uncomfortably timely. So I will explain how the story flips the Korean dream on its head, why its child narrator hits like a punch to the ribs, and how a single symbol, the elephant, carries the weight of belonging, color, and class in 2025's Korea. So this is not just a review, really. This short story is part of a conversation about who gets to be seen. So Kim Jae-young's multiculturalism themed short story Elephant, translated by Michelle Jooeun Kim and published by Asia Publishers, reveals the lie behind the Korean dream that thousands of migrant workers and illegal aliens come to South Korea to pursue. So it also explores the discriminatory attitude of Korean society in general towards the ethnically diverse people who comprise the groups of migrant workers living on the fringes of and manufacturing the products consumed by mainstream South Korean society. Elephant has proven to be a remarkably prescient story. In the years since it was first published in 2004, the issues and concerns it addresses have become increasingly important. Recent years have seen the role of migrant workers move towards the center of political discussion. The negative ramifications that occur when people are marginalized by exploitative, discriminatory policies have been in the spotlight, revealing some ugly truths that many would wish to ignore. Kim's story gives a bruised, tender life to these ugly truths. For while on one level it's a damning indictment of ill conceived and poorly executed social policies, it's also an intimately drawn story of a young boy's struggle with identity and a culture that seeks to exclude him. And in telling the humane, poignant tale of one boy who may or may not represent a wider group of disenfranchised people, Kim ties the specific to the universal and the local to the global. So, written in first person, Elephant tells the story of an unnamed 12-year-old boy born to a Nepalese father and an ethnic Korean mother from China. The reader soon learns that his mother has abandoned them, and as the story commences, the boy is living alone with his father. Their home is a converted pigsty in the industrial zone of Siksadong, a neighborhood in the Goyang district. This is an area on the outskirts of Seoul, well known for its immigrant population of factory workers and manual laborers. The neighborhood is racially mixed with, as it describes in the story, Pakistani boys, Bangladeshi ladies, Myanmarese guys, and Russian girls, all living in close quarters with the boy and his Nepalese father. That the boy is already hard and cynical despite his tender age is apparent when he says of the ethnically diverse community that hard luck tales are so common in this neighborhood that we're practically tripping over them, so nobody pays much attention to the latest goings on. His jaded nature is evidently engendered by the straitened economic circumstances of his impoverished home life, moldy, peeling walls that damage his health, a poor, sick father, and a lack of food all serve to torment him on a daily basis. At one point, he says, "All I know is Shiksadong and the industrial zone, the gloomy sky, piles of broken bricks, and the stinking wind. That's all I've ever had." These words perfectly encapsulate his poverty and financial disenfranchisement. Another significant element of the story is the boy's struggle to be included in Korean culture. He's excluded at school, where he is bullied for perceived cultural differences. At one point, his bully says, "You people eat and wipe your with your hands, don't you? Blech, that's so gross." The nature of his exclusion, however, goes much deeper than mere school bullying. With neither a birth certificate nor a legal nationality, he is, in a political sense, a non person. As he says, I may have a place of birth, but I have no homeland. Furthermore, just as he is excluded from Korean culture, he's also excluded from his father's culture. As a means of escape, his father constantly dreams of and rhapsodizes about Nepal, yet the boy cannot share or participate in these reminiscences for a country he has never set foot in. He is truly a person without a country and laments even his inability to dream of a better home to return to. The boy's father is a man broken by years of hard work, the daily regret of leaving his homeland, and the abandonment of his wife. He decorates their tiny apartment with pictures of Nepal. He's obsessed with the crystal clear lakes and misty mountains they depict, a world removed from the chemical spewing, smoke belching factories around him. The other characters that appear in the story live in similarly difficult circumstances. Laborers and factory workers who toil relentlessly, dreaming of a day when they will have enough money to return to their respective homelands. A young Nepalese man called Koon briefly seems like a potential role model for the boy. Koon escapes from a veritable sweatshop with the help of the boy's father, and the three form a bond. As an Indo-Aryan Nepali, Koon is fair-skinned, and after he dyes his hair blonde, passes for an American. He ventures away from the industrial zone to Myeong-dong. Myeong-dong is one of the centers of Korean consumerist culture. Here, he makes an interesting discovery about the way Koreans perceive race. Whereas the boy, his father, and neighbors are treated like animals, Koon says, so you think that Koreans are all one ethnic group, so they don't like foreigners. You say that's why they're unkind to migrant workers. What a bunch of rubbish. You haven't seen the way they act in front of Americans. They're practically falling all over themselves to be kind. Kim Jae-young's theme is made explicit and comes to the foreground in Koon's words. Koon is stating that there is a racial hierarchy in Korea and that racism is embedded in Korean culture. There is the implication that Korean racism is primarily directed at those from other Asian nations. The boy and his father encounter this firsthand when they try to enter a department store and are blocked by the security guard. Embedded in the story is a sense that, having survived post war poverty, joined the OECD, and become one of the largest economies in the world, Koreans no longer wish to do the 3D jobs, dirty, dangerous, and demeaning, that helped build their country. This is something the migrant workers in Elephant seem keenly aware of. As one says, do you guys have any idea how this country got to be the way it is now? You won't catch any Koreans working in such places nowadays. To be blunt, it's back-breaking work, and they know it firsthand. That's why they leave it all to you. They didn't bring you over here for a joyride. Elephant also contains the idea that Korea puts foreign nations into a hierarchy depending on their economic status. Countries like Britain and America are favored over third world or developing nations. The passion for English in Korea is a prime example of this, and something the boy experiences firsthand. A classmate's mother invites him over for dinner because he is foreign and might be able to teach her son English. She's disappointed when he arrives and is the wrong type of foreign, not white, Western, and fluent in English. Within the story, we can even find a suggestion that Korean racism is, in effect, a kind of internalized white supremacy. The boy realizes that whiteness is so favored in Korea, he washes his face red, bloody raw, with dissolved bleach tablets, and says, I wasn't trying to become white as an American. I only wanted to be as white as, or as yellow as, a Korean. Upon learning this, his father beats him. The boy has internalized a hierarchy of race based on Korean cultural values. He says, like a snake in a summer forest, or a moth tucked under an autumn leaf. I needed camouflage in order to live quietly beneath the notice of others. Elephant is a relentlessly bleak and pessimistic story, and nowhere is this more apparent in the recurring symbol of the elephant, which gives the story its title. The elephant is depicted on a Nepalese shawl that covers a window in the boy's and father's little shack. The boy's father tells him a fantastical story about the elephant and its place in Hindu legend. The boy is enchanted by the tale. Soon, however, he comes to see his father as a fallen elephant, a man who once lived in the mystical Himalayas, reduced to scrabbling around for a living in health ruining factories. Finally, at the story's bitter conclusion, the boy sees a vision of the elephant's inevitable, despairing death, here symbolizing the death of culture and aspiration. Any potential culture the boy could hold on to has been obliterated by the end of the story. All that remains is the distorted process of socialization that has led the boy to think he would rather steal than wait for kindness. Despite or perhaps because of its bleak clarity, Elephant remains urgent South Korean fiction. The country now has well over 2.6, 2.7 million foreign residents, more than 5% of the population, with the largest groups from China and Vietnam, and Asian nationals making up the clear majority. Recent cases and official reviews show why this matters. Migrant workers still face exploitation and abuse, drawing national scrutiny and UN attention, while Korea's anti discrimination framework remains under pressure to improve. At the same time, an aging, low fertility society might increasingly rely on labor to sustain communities and care systems. Although, of course, there is a significant amount of resistance to this, and other strategies are available. But by asking what dreams are available to the disenfranchised, Kim Jae-young's Elephant argues now more than ever that maybe it's better for people to find a home somewhere. Anyway, if Elephant moved you or unsettled you, tell me what hit you about the story. Anyway, leave a comment. And if you enjoyed this review, hit a like, subscribe, and all the rest of it. And thank you for watching. Take care, and I'll see you in another review. Thank you for watching.